Once upon a time, in a big, bright village lived Simbi. Simbi was very rich and pretty. She had a big house, lots of shiny clothes, and many sparkly jewels. Her father gave her all this money before he went to the stars. Everyone in the village said, "Wow," when they saw her. But Simbi was a bit different. She liked to be with people who had lots of money like her. She didn't play with those who had less. Even when they smiled at her, she sometimes didn't smile back. Her father was not like that. He was nice to everyone and shared his money. People loved him very much. They still liked Simbi, hoping she'd be like her father one day. Simbi didn't think about getting married. Her mother said, "Simbi, you're not getting younger. Find someone nice." But Simbi would shake her head. She said, "No, I want someone very special. He must have more money than me, be super nice, and never been married." People whispered, "Who could that be? No one is like that here." So Simbi waited and waited, thinking about the man who would be just right for her. She believed somewhere, somehow, she'd find him. But for now, she enjoyed her riches, her big house, and her shiny things, not ready to share them with anyone yet. One sunny day, Simbi met Mazi. Mazi was from another village not too far away. He was rich, just like Simbi. He also got his riches from his family, just like she did. Simbi liked him because he was rich. Mazi liked her too. So they decided to get married and live together. At first, everything was sweet and happy. They laughed, ate yummy food, and lived in a big, cozy house. Simbi and Mazi seemed perfect for each other. But after a while, things started to change. Simbi liked to make all the decisions. She wanted to be the boss. When Mazi said, "Let's do this," Simbi would often say, "No, we do it my way." She thought because she was rich and a bit older, she should be in charge. One day, Mazi had to go on a trip. He told Simbi, "Please stay home till I come back." But Simbi didn't listen. She went out to play with her friends and traveled far away without telling Mazi. When Mazi came back, he found the house quiet and empty. He asked, "Where is Simbi?" The worker said, "She left to have fun with her friends." Mazi waited for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Then Simbi came back. Mazi was very upset. "Where did you go?" he asked. Simbi didn't like the question. "Why do you ask?" "I can go where I want," she said. They argued loud and long. Mazi said, "You should respect me. I am still the head of this house." But Simbi didn't agree. She was angry. "I don't need to listen to you. Any man cannot control my life," she said. And with that, Simbi packed her bags and went back to her own village, leaving Mazi and their home behind. She was single again, back in her big house, thinking about what happened. People in the village whispered about Simbi and Mazi, wondering what would happen next. Simbi's mother was sad too. She said, "No marriage is perfect, Simbi." But Simbi didn't want to hear it. She thought she would just find another man, a better one this time. After leaving Mazi, Simbi met Ayo. Ayo wasn't rich like Mazi or Simbi, but he had a big heart. He was the kindest man in the village. Simbi thought, "Well, he is very caring. That's one thing I wanted." So Simbi and Ayo decided to get married. Since Ayo wasn't as rich, he had to move into Simbi's big house. He did everything to make Simbi happy. He cooked yummy meals, cleaned the house till it sparkled, and even gave Simbi foot rubs after her long days. Ayo would sometimes buy Simbi pretty dresses with the little money he had. He always said, "I just want you to smile, Simbi." For a while, Simbi loved it. She was happy she could control him. It was as if Simbi was the husband and Ayo was the wife. She felt like a queen. Ayo was always there, making sure she was comfortable and happy. But soon, Simbi started to feel something was missing. Simbi saw that Ayo didn't bring in any money. He spent his days making sure she was happy, but the big house and shiny things needed money to stay. Simbi thought, Ayo is nice, very caring, but he's too lazy. He never contributed much to the family. Instead, all he does is just sit and enjoy her own labor. Then one evening, Simbi sat down with Ayo. She said, "You are very kind, Ayo, but kindness doesn't fill our pots with food or keep this house." Ayo felt sad. He wanted to make Simbi happy, but he didn't know how without money. Simbi's mother talked to her. "Simbi, you have to choose. Do you want Ayo's kindness or someone who brings in money? A man who has so much time to care all day and night would barely have much time for work, my dear." Simbi thought hard. Finally, she said, "I need more than kindness." So Simbi told Ayo, "You need to leave. You're not the husband I need." Ayo was very sad, but he packed his bags and left. Simbi was alone again. She had everything she wanted in her big house, but she wasn't happy. She missed Ayo's kindness but wanted more. The villagers whispered, "Simbi has sent another husband away. What will she do now?" After Ayo left, Simbi felt a bit lonely. But then she met Kofi. Kofi was like a dream, everything she had wanted in a man. He was handsome. He was rich, very rich. He was also kind and caring, and he had never been married. Simbi thought, "Wow, Kofi is just perfect." So Simbi and Kofi got married, and it seemed like Simbi finally found her perfect match. Kofi was everything Simbi wanted. He bought her beautiful things, took her to fun places, and always made sure she was smiling. They danced, they laughed, and their house was full of joy. Simbi felt very lucky. But after some time, things started to change again. Kofi was nice and all, but Simbi sometimes forgot to be nice back. She didn't say please or thank you. She didn't cook or clean. She thought, "Kofi loves me, so I don't need to do these things." Kofi had friends and family who would come over. Simbi didn't greet them nicely. She just said hello without smiling. Kofi's family was very important to him, especially his parents. But Simbi didn't visit them or help them. She said, "Why should I? They can take care of themselves." Kofi's parents noticed this. They said, "Kofi, a wife should be kind and respectful, not just to her husband, but to his family too." They were upset. They told Kofi, "Simbi isn't right for our family." Kofi was sad, but he knew his family was right. He loved Simbi, but he also knew respect and kindness were important. So Kofi talked to Simbi. He said, "We can't be together if you don't respect me and my family." Simbi was shocked. She didn't expect this, but Kofi had made up his mind. Simbi packed her things and went back to her village, alone again. Back home, Simbi thought about Kofi. She had everything she wanted, but she still wasn't happy. She started to wonder, maybe it's not just about finding the perfect husband. Maybe I need to be a better wife too. But it was too late for her and Kofi. Because when Simbi came back to her village after leaving Kofi, she got a big surprise. A flood had come and washed away a lot of the village, including the farms that made Simbi so rich. Suddenly, Simbi didn't have all her money anymore. Her big house didn't feel so big when there was no food to eat or money to spend. Simbi and her mother had to leave their big house. They moved into a small hut, much smaller than anywhere Simbi had ever lived. At first, Simbi felt very sad. She missed her soft bed, her shiny things, and her beautiful clothes. Now, she wore simple dresses and helped her mother cook with whatever food they could find. Living in the small hut, Simbi started to think a lot. She remembered Mazi, Ayo, and Kofi. She thought about how she acted with them. I had 3 good husbands, she said to herself, but I wasn't a good wife. I wanted to be the boss with Mazi. I didn't value Ayo's kindness, and I didn't respect Kofi or his family. Simbi saw that she had been looking for the perfect husband without thinking about what it means to be a good wife. I was not nice, Simbi realized. I did not share or help. I only thought about what I wanted. In the small hut, Simbi learned to live with less. She talked to her neighbors, the ones she had ignored when she was rich. They were nice to her. They shared their food and stories. Simbi started to help others too. She shared whatever she and her mother had. Simbi's heart began to change in the small hut. She learned to say please and thank you. She learned to listen and not always be the boss. She found out that being rich with money wasn't the same as being rich in heart. One day, Simbi said to her mother, I was wrong. It wasn't my husband's fault. It was mine. I forgot to be kind and respectful. Her mother hugged her. She was happy to see Simbi understanding. Living simply, Simbi learned a big lesson. She discovered that being happy doesn't need lots of money or being in charge. Happiness comes from being kind, sharing, and respecting others. Simbi was ready to be not just rich but also a good person. As Simbi started to live her new, simpler life, she met someone unexpected. His name was Gogo. Gogo was very different from the men Simbi had married before. He wasn't rich and he had been married once. He didn't match any of the things Simbi used to want in a husband. But there was something special about Gogo. He was kind, he laughed a lot, and he cared about Simbi in a way no one had before. Simbi and Gogo became friends. They talked, they helped each other, and they laughed together. Simbi liked how Gogo made her feel. She didn't worry about being rich or being in charge. With Gogo, she was just Simbi. One day Gogo asked Simbi if she would marry him. Simbi thought about it. Gogo didn't have a lot of money. He wasn't what she had always said she wanted. But Simbi realized those things weren't what made her happy. Being cared for, sharing laughs, and helping each other, that's what made her happy. So Simbi said yes to Gogo. They got married and started their life together in the small hut. It was a happy life, simpler than Simbi's life before, but fuller in many ways. Gogo and Simbi didn't have much, but they had each other. They shared everything they had and worked together to make their little home a place of love and laughter. Simbi was loyal to Gogo. She didn't look for someone richer or more powerful. She learned to appreciate what she had. Gogo and Simbi respected each other. They listened when the other spoke, and they helped each other without needing to be asked. Their neighbors saw how happy Simbi and Gogo were. They saw how Simbi had changed. She was kinder, she smiled more, and she helped others. Simbi had grown. She learned that happiness didn't come from having the most money or being in charge. Happiness came from sharing life with someone who cared, from being kind, and from being content with what you have. Simbi and Gogo's marriage was not like the stories of riches and palaces. It was a story of true happiness, found in a small hut, with simple clothes and simple food. But it was their story, and it was filled with love. Simbi finally found what she was looking for, not in wealth or power, but in a heart that matched hers. In the quiet of a beautiful evening, Simbi sat outside her small hut, looking at the stars. She thought about her long journey, from the days of living in a big house with lots of shiny things to now, living simply with Gogo. Her heart was full. Simbi remembered how she once thought that having a husband who was rich, caring, and never married would make her happy. She had married Mazi, Ayo, and Kofi, looking for happiness in what they could give her or how they made her feel. But each time, something was missing. It wasn't until everything changed, until she lost her wealth and lived a simpler life, that Simbi found true happiness. With Gogo, Simbi learned that happiness wasn't about being rich or being in charge. Happiness was about sharing, understanding, and loving. She learned that no marriage is perfect. Every relationship has its challenges, but it's how you face those challenges together that matters. It's about understanding each other, making compromises, and being there for one another. Simbi realized her mistakes. She saw that she had been looking for perfection in her husbands without being willing to give the same in return. She understood that a happy marriage isn't about finding someone who meets all your criteria, but about building a life together where both partners feel valued and loved. As Simbi looked at the stars, she felt grateful for her journey. It had taught her about the true meaning of love and happiness. She was thankful for Gogo, for his love, and for the life they shared together. The moral of Simbi's story is clear. No marriage is 100% complete. What makes a marriage perfect is not finding the perfect person, but finding someone you can grow with, understand, and compromise with to build a strong, loving relationship. Happiness comes not from seeking perfection in others, but from appreciating what you have and from the love and understanding you share together. Simbi's story is a reminder that the key to a happy life and a happy marriage lies not in the wealth or status of your partner, but in the love, respect, and understanding you share. And that, in the end, is the most precious thing of all. I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share it with your family and friends, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.